Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey guys, this is Mr. Miller, and I just want to take this chance to tell you that I want you, Uncle Sam and I, want you to do well on the end of course exam for American history. So we're going to take a few minutes right now to go over the types of questions you might see on the test and also the resources you can use to refresh your memory about what the test is going to cover. So let's get at it, right? Ganbarimashou, that means let's do our best. So let's start off by looking at the different types of questions you might encounter on the EOC end of course exam for American history. The first type is just a plain multiple choice question. You can see it here. In this case, how did the United States respond to the events of September 11th? Well, obviously the answer here is D, by pursuing military action in countries that were accused of supporting terrorists. But again, this is just a basic multiple choice question, and to get it right, you really need to just be up on your knowledge base. Need to know about the topic that the question is addressing. And if you don't, there's not much a teacher or anybody else can do for you while you're on the test. You just got to know stuff like this. Now, this is not the only question that we cover, and the next one I want to go over is a type of question called a manipulation question or a drag and drop question. Here is another type of question that we were talking about, the drag and drop or the manipulation question. This one is about the Great Depression. I'll read it for you. There are many causes of the Great Depression. During this time, the government took actions to help the economy recover. Identify whether each statement was a cause of the Great Depression, an action taken in response to the Depression, or an effect on American life that came about as a result of the Depression. Move each statement into the blank boxes to complete the chart. So we have to move these into the right box. To do this, we need to first highlight the box or click on the box that we want to move it to. So we're going to start with cause, okay? First one, cause. Banks and other financial institutions make excessive loans. So that's a cause. Action taken, the Federal Reserve constricts money supply. And finally, the effect, economic conditions worsen, making it harder for people to repay debts. Oh, I forgot to highlight it. There we go. And so this is the cause, action, and effect manipulation question. This is the drag and drop, and you have to be familiar with the material to do this. You might try to guess, but if you don't understand the material, again, like the basic multiple choice question, you're going to have some problems. And you can see I got them all right because I know my stuff. Now here's a third type of question. It's the question where the answers are basically right in front of you. It helps to know the background and the content, but you can get the answer without it. You can read the reading patiently, thoroughly, and then go into the questions. So here's one type. With the annexation of Hawaii and the Philippines in 1898, the United States joined other nations in imperialist ventures. Many Americans debated whether the U.S. should participate in imperialism. Use the two sources below to answer the question. So you look at these two tabs, click on the tabs to each source. First one is anti-imperialist. Second one is pro-imperialist by a guy named Albert Beveridge. And then you have a couple multiple choice questions based on the readings. These questions can be answered right if you don't know the material so well. You have to read through it, you have to be thorough, like I said, but you can do it. It's staring at you in the face. Just take your time and read it. Let's take a look at another similar question here. This has reading two sources. One is the Louisiana Constitution, but the other is a photograph of a man during the Jim Crow period during 1939. And so One of these questions is multiple choice based on the Louisiana Constitution, but the other is not multiple choice. You're not choosing just one. You're clicking on a series of checkboxes, a number of checkboxes that you have to do to get it right. So it's not just one answer, it's more than one. These are very common on the tests now. You will see something like this. They have done away with answers that could be written out, or short answer or extended response questions. So they don't do those anymore. In return, in place of those, they have put these questions where you have to read, look at a picture, and answer the multiple choice questions. This is good for some students. The answers are right there. It all depends upon your patience and your ability to actually read through and answer these questions. Now we're going to take a look at some of the resources available to you. One of those resources is a website called ohiotestprep.com. And as you can see, I'm clicking on it right here. This is the main page. American History and American Government, a blended learning solution for Ohio teachers and students. And this website takes advantage of a lot of different tools that you may be familiar with. Quizlet, Khan Academy, iCivics, Edulastic, DocsTeach, CommonLit. I know that I use iCivics, Khan Academy, Quizlet, and Edulastic in my classes. Quizlet especially, so you should be familiar with these whether you took me for American History or another teacher for American History. Now, how do you get to the material you need? We're going to click on the American History box up the top here, and it's going to take you to the American History part of the website. This is broken down into different units, Unit 1 through Unit 8, each covering a different topic. So you don't have to do all of them unless you really need a refresher on everything. You need to do the ones that you're not familiar with. So let's say, I remember Foundations of American History. That's like historical process that Mr. Miller went over. That's good. I remember industrialization and progressivism, but I don't remember imperialism very much. So I'm going to click on this and see what I can find. And here you can see it's broken down even farther into building background knowledge. And you might have there, you have like Quizlet vocab activities, so you can take a test or play a game with Quizlet. Then explore key concepts and ideas. There's video lessons and study guides you can use here. Sharpen social study skills. They have a DocsTeach here, and they have a CommonLit text analysis. And then finally, they have a little test you can take through Edulastic. Now, you can see the questions here, but it won't do the coding problem. It won't check your answers anymore. So unfortunately, that's a drawback of this. But what you can do is email your teacher and ask him, hey, is this right? Did I do the right answer here? And he will get back to you. So, hey, use your email. So this is a great tool to utilize for American history students trying to take the end of course exam. It's a way to refresh your memory, go over things, watch a few videos, you remind yourself of some vocab, and just prepare for the test. Finally, one of the last resources I want to go over with you is from the Ohio Department of Education. And this website is created for students and families who want to, do their best on the end of course exams. And you can see here there's a lot of different documents that they have released here, and they all have either scoring guides or items, that means questions released from prior tests. And you can go in here and search, and definitely you can find American history here. You can see I'm highlighting it here. But you can also find released questions from other tests as well. So maybe one of the best things is a practice test. So we click on the practice test up here. And we can just use the guest user and guest session for this, and that'll be fine. You hit sign in. And then what it's going to do is it's going to take you through, a dummy test, a practice test for your own purposes, for your own study purposes. And so if you have English language arts or mathematics or science, you can do those tests too. But what we want to do is look at the American history practice test. So we're going to click on this, and then it's going to take you through the same type of questions you would receive on the day you actually take the test. You're going to go through general testing tools, whether the clock is on or when you have the highlighter on, or you can strike through things. And you can go through that and decide what tools you want to use, what things you want and what you don't. And so I'm just going to hit select here. It's going to ask me for audio and visual sound questions. And if you want the test read to you, you can hit this button and see if it works.
This text is being read aloud.
There we go. So, right. I heard the voice. Go. Continue. And then you can go back to the test settings. There's more information. There's a help guide. Then you can begin the test now. And then it's going to pull up the student test, and it's going to have all the practice questions you could want to go through, including ones like we just went through. And it's a great tool to see where you stand. So if you can take this practice test ahead of time, you can see where you stand on a lot of these questions, on a lot of these topics, and you can figure out what you need to study for the real test. So that's the final source I wanted to go over with you. Again, it's for students and families from the Ohio Department of Education. It's called the cambiumassessment.com, oh.portal.cambiumast.com, and I will have the link to that in the description for this video.
Yeah.